Tuesday morning, everybody. It's Key Town coming back with another one to talk about all of the game fours from last night's NBA playoffs. Now, a lot had happened last night between these three games: Celtics versus Heat, Nuggets versus Lakers, and Thunder versus Pelicans. And I'm going to get into all of those three games right now. So, the first game from last night, the Celtics versus Heat. Basically, Boston took control of this game from start to finish. They they led for basically the entire game. To be exact, they led for 42 minutes. They led for 42 minutes behind Jaylen Brown's 17 points, Jason Tatum's 20 points, and I know one thing. A guy went off, Derek White, last night. Derek White had a career high 38 points. Now, last year, his role coming off the bench, he had a nice good little role coming off the bench last year, but he wasn't a shooter last year like he is now. Now he is a good shooter coming off the bench this year. He worked on his game throughout the offseason, and I noticed he made 8 threes after about the third or fourth three. I said, okay, White, he might have something tonight. And he did. So he had 38 points. The bench had 25 points on the game. And now the Boston Celtics are up 3-1 in this series with an opportunity to close it out Wednesday night. Now, do they close it out Wednesday night? Yes, they do, because we already know that how the Miami Heat constructed. I'm not going to go through that again, but we all know that Tyler Hero is not going to score 30 points. Bam Adebayo, he is not going to score 25 points. And also Nikola Djokovic, he is not going to score 20 points like he did in that game 2 victory. Now, as far as for the Heat, they had a good season, but just like I've been saying, the Celtics are the more talented team, and they are a much deeper team when it comes to bench production. The Celtics throughout this series, they have relied on 6 guys coming off the bench and putting up points. Not to mention when it comes to their top 2 stars, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they have been averaging 26 points throughout this series. Not to mention they had a breakout game in game 1 with both of them scoring the same amount of points. Well, game 3 with them scoring the same amount of points with 22. Now they have a balanced team all across the board. As far as the Miami Heat, what they need to do, that I know that we all know that they have some draft picks. What they need to do is go and get a person who can find their own shot and don't have to wait on somebody to pass them the ball. Because we all know every team in the NBA playoffs has at least 1 or 2 players that can go find their own shot. You got the Denver Nuggets with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, Boston Celtics with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Also, you have Minnesota, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, and so on and so on. So, Boston, you win game 5. You get a few days of rest. I don't know who they are going to play in the next series, but they have to take care of Miami in game 5 so they can get some rest. But all in all, this was a good game for the Boston Celtics. I mean, from 3-point range, they were 14 of 37. Total rebounds, they out-rebounded the Miami Heat by 4. Assists, they had more assists than the Miami Heat, and as far as turnovers, they had less turnovers than the Miami Heat, and points in the paint. Miami had the advantage, but Boston won the game. So that's why I always say it doesn't matter how many points you have in the paint. It's all about what is the final score in the end. So in the end, Boston has a 3-1 lead. They will close it out in game 5. And the next series I want to talk about is the Oklahoma City Thunder and the New Orleans Pelicans. Now I want to get to the Pelicans first off. Now, their top 2 guys, you had Brandon Ingram. He didn't even show up last night. I mean, 8 points in 39 minutes. Most of the time when he was out there, he was just passing the ball to his other teammates. Now, Brandon Ingram, he is a forward. A forward is supposed to dominate, and also he is supposed to facilitate the ball to his players. But when it comes to what the stakes were last night, you down 3-0. You don't want to get eliminated on your home court. So what Brandon Ingram should have did is said, if I'm open, give me the ball so I can score. The only 2 players that really had a good game for the New Orleans Pelicans last night was C.J. McCollum and Jonas Valanciunas with 20 points and 19 points for Valanciunas. And also Najee Marshall coming off the bench. He had 16 points. But when it comes to the New Orleans Pelicans, they weren't able to defend last night. They weren't able to defend the Thunder last night. You had Jalen Williams coming off the bench for the Thunder, had 24 points. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 24 points. Chet Holmgren had 14 points. Josh Giddey had 14 points. And also, the bench production. They didn't get much from their bench last night because they really didn't need it, because they had 5 players last night in double figures. So one thing I can say is Oklahoma City, they are in a good position. They swept the New Orleans Pelicans, and now they have a few days of rest before they play their next opponent. Now, I don't know who they are going to play, but later on this week, I will find out who their next opponent will be, and I will give you my take on that playoff series between the Oklahoma City Thunder and whoever they are playing next. Now, the last series I want to talk about before I get on out of here is the Los Angeles Lakers and Denver Nuggets. Now, Game 4 was a one-off. Like I said, Denver, they came out flat in Game 4. Last night, they came out flat a little bit. What the Lakers were doing at the start of the game, they were dominating the pick and roll. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they were killing the Denver Nuggets with that pick and roll. But I noticed something changed in the second half. LeBron, he was facilitating the ball to Anthony Davis. Then you had Austin Reeves. He had a good game last night. Rui Hachimura, he had 15 points last night. And also D'Angelo Russell, he had a little bit of a shooting slump earlier in the game, but he finished with 14 points. Now, when it comes to what the Lakers did, at one point in the game, the Lakers were up by 9 at one point. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, can they hold this lead? Now, this is late third quarter, early fourth. They had a 9-point lead. And then all of a sudden, Jamal Murray, the flamethrower himself, he saw a couple of shots go in for him. Now, I always say, Jamal Murray, don't let him get into a rhythm. Only thing he has to do is see one shot go in, and that's it. So in the fourth quarter, he took his first shot. He seen that one go in, and then he went on a scoring rampage. He finished the game with 32 points, and also the game winner in the last few seconds. Now, one thing I can say is Denver, even though this series, even though they won 4-1, this was a very close series than what the series score predicted. The Los Angeles Lakers led this series 95% of the time, but they only won one game. Now, those are astounding numbers out of a possible 250 minutes. Excuse me. Out of a possible 150 minutes, the Los Angeles Lakers were leading 132 minutes. 14 of those minutes, the game was tied. Well, the series had a tie score throughout all of these games. And somehow, some way, after the game was tied, the Denver Nuggets went on a tear and won won 4 of the 5 games. That's why it was 4-1. So as far as the Lakers, what can I say about them? They need to get more size when it comes to defending players like Nikola Jokic, because Nikola Jokic, he's taller than outside of Anthony Davis. Nikola Jokic is taller than everybody out there on the field. When Darvin Ham takes Anthony Davis out of the starting lineup, it's just the Lakers have no size, and they didn't have any size in this series outside of Anthony Davis. When you have Anthony Davis guarding Nikola Jokic for 35, 40 minutes of the game, he is mentally and physically spent before the fourth quarter even started. And that was how he was last night before he hit his shoulder and bumped his shoulder and got injured and had to leave the game. Now, what I can say is that Los Angeles Lakers, they don't have too many closers outside of, at times LeBron can close, but he didn't close last night. And that is one. Now, LeBron, he's a good player, but he didn't close last night. And one thing about it, Austin Reeves, he gave Austin Reeves the ball in the last few minutes. Now, credit, Austin Reeves had it going last night. He finished the game with 19 points. But in the last few seconds, if I'm the best player on the team, the last few seconds, I want the ball. I'm going to tell everybody, give me the ball and get out the way, because we're not going to lose this game. And that is where that killer instinct has to come in at. Now, with LeBron, he's a team player. Me, when I played basketball back in high school, I was also a team player. But there was also some moments where I just told all of my teammates, I'm like, y'all, just give me the ball and I can score. Just give me the ball and I can score. And they understood that. Throughout the game, yes, I'm going to give you the ball, I'm going to pass you the ball, and I'm going to pass everybody the ball. But when it comes down to the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game, more than likely down that stretch, I'm going to have the ball. And what I'm going to do, if I'm not going to score all the way, I'm going to at least get fouled and go earn the 2 points at the free throw line. But one thing about it, LeBron was a little bit too passive last night. He should have took over this game in the fourth quarter, in the last 2 or 3 minutes. And I believe that this game, even though they lost by 2, I believe they would have won if LeBron would have took over. Also, as far as free throws concerned, now they were 18 or 27 for free throws last night. And that is another thing what ultimately lost them the game. See, when you look at this, they kept turnover differential down in the single digits. It was eight. The Lakers had 8 turnovers. The Denver Nuggets had 13. And also another thing, when it comes to rebounds, the Denver Nuggets out rebounded the Lakers. So they had offensive rebounds going against them because Denver had more rebounds. And also the free throw disparity and the 3-point shooting disparity is what ultimately lost them the game. When you are 10 for 35 from the 3-point line, you're not going to win very many games, let alone winning a series. And also, you missed 9 free throws last night. If you make 7 of those 9 free throws, no, I'm going to say if you make 8 of those 9 free throws, we are having a different type of discussion this morning. But the Lakers, they had a tumultuous season. From what Darvin Ham said last night, saying, I'm going to quote him on this. The last 2 years has been a rough 2 years for me. Does that sound like a coach that is coming back? Darvin Ham is expected to get fired. I tweeted that this morning, and I heard news after the game last night that he won't be around long. They are expecting to fire him within the next week and a half, 2 weeks, I heard. But as of right now, he is currently still the head coach. I don't know what Jeannie Buss is going to do. I don't know what coach they are interested in. But when I find out what coach they are interested in, I will give all of my viewers and all of America that information. And with that, those are my reactions from last night's Game 4 playoff games. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of every show, of every upload, reaction video, and other content that I do. And remember, one last thing, the key is always on time.